You know, the Bears got blasted in this trade from a redraft perspective. We're, of course, on the Dynasty channel, so we're talking strictly Dynasty, but of course, we're going to address the trade. From a Dynasty perspective, this move is confusing. It doesn't guarantee Fields anything other than the fact that he's not going to go bust in Chicago. He doesn't have to sit behind Caleb Williams in Chicago. He at least gets a chance to go unseat a very questionable quarterback in Russell Wilson. From a dynasty perspective, there's certainly some opportunity, but it's cloudy. So we're here to discuss Justin Fields' dynasty value. We're here to discuss, in part, the trade. You know, like I said, we're definitely not going to venture into the redraft side for too long because that's not what this channel is about. But we're definitely going to toy around with some of the trade opportunities and values and suggested values you may or may not see in your league, and see if we can cook up something in terms of a trade, maybe away or for Fields if you've got them. So if anybody has any trade ideas or they have Fields and they want to trade them, whatever, call in when we open the phone line here in a second, and we'll discuss. But we've got to talk about this from all angles tonight, but mostly Dynasty, the Fantasy Football Show. Dynasty Edition, Graveyard Edition begins now.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios, it's the Dynasty Fantasy Football Show.
Wow. What a day. We knew this was coming. I mean, I went live on this for like 2 straight days in a row, and I said a number of times, I think, within that 48-hour period, we'd be seeing something coming. And what I said was that Keenan Allen trade was absolutely a telegraph, if you guys remember what I said on that. And the reason I felt that way is because they were holding back. They didn't want to show any of their cards. The Bears, Ryan Poles and the brass over in Chicago were like, let's hold our hand right here. And the moment they're like, we can't hold our hand anymore, we're trading for Keenan Allen, you knew they weren't going after Marvin Harrison Jr. Now, a lot of people were like, oh, they still might. They're not gonna. DJ Moore, Marvin Harrison Jr., a lot of other holes to fill. They're not going that route. The moment they traded for Keenan Allen was the moment they surrendered to the idea that they could get the world for Justin Fields. And real quickly, before we get into the dynasty value, let me just briefly address this in saying that the Chicago Bears got blasted in this trade. Absolutely blasted. And 30 other teams in the National Football League should be ashamed of themselves for allowing a team to come in and grab this guy, even if we're going to resort to him as a backup right now, which I completely disagree with, and I don't care if I'm wrong on my stance, in terms of what I predicted to happen. Logic is what I used. And expecting this man to find a home was logical. And it was needed. And there are teams out there that need quarterbacks. Minnesota needs a quarterback. Denver needs a quarterback. Las Vegas still needs a quarterback. They don't have a start. They don't have an elite starting quarterback. New Orleans doesn't have a quarterback. Seattle doesn't have. I don't care if they've got Howell and Geno. They're better off with Fields. Throw Fields in the mix. Miami Dolphins have an injury-prone Tua Tagovailoa. And the Pittsburgh Steelers were definitely a wild card. We even did a live stream on this. If you remember the guy that screamed and yelled at me when I did a dedicated live stream to what if Fields goes to Pittsburgh. We broke it all down and talked about it. So it was definitely in the realm of possibility. But let me just say this, then we're moving on to Dynasty. 30 teams should be ashamed of themselves that when he finally dropped into an unbelievably unfair, head-scratching bucket of value that was backup quarterback, 30 teams should have been on the phone saying, hey, we heard it's going to be a 4th rounder if in fact he plays 51% of the games, but it's going to be a 6th rounder if he doesn't. Tell you what, we'll do that without the condition. We'll give you the 4th rounder. 30 teams should have called and made a trade to make this man their backup quarterback. I'm including everybody. KC, Buffalo, doesn't matter. Especially teams that he would fit good with, plug and play. Lamar goes down, Fields goes in. Kyler goes down, Fields goes in. The Cardinals traded Rondell Moore for Ritter instead of keeping Rondell Moore in trading a 6th-round pick conditional to a 4 for Justin Fields? Does anybody understand how backwards that is? I don't care what anybody says. I don't care if it's my mom. I don't care if it's my dad. I could care less who it is. They're wrong. Fields was worth whatever you could pay beyond even a 4th-round pick, 3rd-round pick even. You want to say not a second? Fine. I'm okay with that. But if you weren't willing to pay a 4th-rounder without the conditional part for Fields to be your backup quarterback and you're the Cincinnati Bengals or the Ravens or any team, it doesn't matter. If you don't think this guy's worth being a wide back, that won't catch a ton of balls. Maybe he runs a lot, plays wildcat. This is Taysom Hill. In your worst case scenario, he's better than Taysom Hill at Taysom Hill's job. It's head scratching to me that not one team, especially the Dallas Cowboys, wouldn't say, let's bring Fields in case Dak doesn't work out or gets injured. What if Tua Tagovailoa gets hit, takes a headshot, and is done for the year? What if Aaron Rodgers can't stay healthy, tears his other Achilles? That is typically what happens when an Achilles recovered player comes back and gets re-injured. They tear their other Achilles. Why would you not want this man at a 4th round? Don't worry about the conditional. Step over the Steelers offer and say, they give you a 6 as conditional 4. Let me just give you the 4. We'll skip the conditional part. Here's the 4th rounder. Give me Fields. I have the best backup in the National Football League. End of story. I don't care what anybody says. That's my stance. And I'm not budging. I don't care what anybody says. And I feel like I'm alone on an island on this outside of our community. There are only a few people that disagree with me inside our community. And it's not because it's a yes. Everyone always says that. People disagree with me inside my community all the time. We're just a logical, like-minded group of people that see this the right way. But outside, I feel like I'm on an island. I'm arguing with friends about it. My Niner boys, they don't agree with me at all. Like it's crazy. Then you get the Smitty, you're just a fantasy guy. You're not an NFL guy. You wouldn't understand. As if I don't know the game. As if you can do what I do without first knowing the game and then knowing fantasy. It's the other way around for the jokers out there that think a fantasy mind that comes in here, breaks down news every single day, that's done this 23 years, that was on CBS and NBC Sports Radio for 19 straight years doing player evaluations and scouting and stuff for the NFL draft. You're telling me that I don't know football? I'm telling you that 30 other teams made a incompetent decision to pass on making Justin Fields their backup quarterback because that's where he was priced. And that's the end of the story. That's the end of the story. Someone's welcome to call in and tell me their 2 cents. I would love for someone to tell me how I'm wrong. Oh, because Fields only had... I don't care about his stats. I've already shot that down. Chicago failed him. My eyeballs tell me so. And even in a Taysom Hill role, in the worst case scenario, he is worth a 4th rounder, not even conditional. But I disagree with anybody that thinks that's his value. His value to me is the best backup quarterback. Not wide back, not Taysom Hill type role. He is the best backup quarterback in the National Football League because, in my opinion, he could still be a top 12 quarterback in the National Football League. Therefore, he's crushing every backup in the entire league. Not to mention, we might see this unfold in a way that he's the starter by week 4 or 5. Look, Russell Wilson is shaky at best. He's a good gamble for the Steelers to take, given the circumstance. But Fields is a far less gamble. Not to mention Russell Wilson's on a 1-year deal. Not to mention Justin Fields is probably their more long-term fit and likely long-term guy. Justin Fields is probably the future, which is why we're here tonight discussing the dynasty value of Justin Fields. That's the redraft, the news, etc., etc. We're not going to be here too long tonight. I just want to hit this real quickly from a dynasty perspective. There's not a whole lot you can do if you own him other than just wait. No one's going to go buying him as a backup quarterback when the expectation was a couple hours ago. Well, 10 hours ago, whatever amount of hours it was now. I'm losing track of time, actually. Before this went down, there was still the idea he could be starting for the Vikings. There's still the idea he could be starting for the Raiders. And now that he's a backup, he only loses value. No one's going to buy him on the spec that he gets into the lineup. So your only move is to hold him if you've got him. If you don't have him and you have a shaky QB, but it's a serviceable one, right? You got Goff, you got Russell Wilson. I mean, Russell Wilson owners should be going after Fields like crazy. Underdog Fantasy promo code Smitty when we draft on Underdog. Now I'm really kind of like, for my QB2, I kind of like the Russell Wilson Fields combo as my QB2, drafted Mahomes or someone as my QB1 in a 1 QB, and then you're totally set. You know, it's kind of a crafty way to draft 3 QBs. I always like to draft 3 QBs in Underdog Fantasy Best Ball anyway. So if I draft those particular 3, I'm kind of set. But I've made it very, very abundantly clear that with Arthur Smith, I don't love the starting quarterback in Pittsburgh in 2024. But we're on the Dynasty channel, okay? And we need to discuss what he's worth in Dynasty. I already told you, if you own him, you got to wait. No one's going to come knocking. But if you don't own him and you've got a shaky QB1 and you're in a 1 QB, or you're in a Superflex Dynasty and you go after him on spec, you're going to get a pretty good deal. Because anybody that owns him just got kicked right in the sack. And they lost a lot of value. And they're probably looking to sell the falling knife before it falls even further. You're looking to catch it, maybe get cut, but then able to go back up and have it return value. ROI should be pretty good on it at the current rate. Perps dropping a 20 watt on screen. Perps, appreciate you. Perp says, we all, I think he means thought Wilson was cheap at QB for the Steelers, whether he plays or not, but now Fields trade. The Queen shit the bed and signs Darnold. I'm pissed. He's talking about the Vikings. So the Vikings not going and getting, like, Perps I think would agree with me on this one. I think Perps is on this. I haven't really, to be honest, I'm all over the place. So I don't even remember whose stance is where. I'm pretty sure Perps would agree that Darnold and Fields is better than Darnold. Like, I'm pretty sure Perps would agree with that. McCarthy and Darnold is probably not as good as Fields and Darnold. I think Perps would probably agree with that. It's okay if he doesn't. There's some McCarthy fans out there that think that McCarthy's better than Fields. Most of them are not fantasy related, but I think that Penix Jr. or Bo Nix is probably the better option for Minnesota. So if they end up going that route at 11, I'm fine with that. If they trade up and get Drake May, I'd almost rather have Penix Jr. and Bo Nix than Drake May at 3 if it's going to cost you that 23. Because the Vikings are apparently moving up to get a top 3 pick. That is the thinking. Or a top 5 pick, really. I don't know if they can even use 11 and 23 to get a 3 or a 2 or a 1. You're almost looking at like number 6. And the Giants might be capable of trading that down. So Minnesota might try and move up here and give up the 11 and 23 for the 6 so they can grab their quarterback of choice, knowing that McCarthy would be there, knowing that Arizona's probably going MHJ, and so they're getting the fourth best quarterback on the board. Then again, you look at it, though, and you say Chicago's not taking a quarterback. The Jets aren't taking a quarterback. You're getting them one here. The Falcons aren't. So really, who are you leapfrogging? Tennessee? They're not going to take a quarterback. So 6 isn't high enough. So breaking it all down live, I don't even know that the Vikings can do anything unless they give up the 11, the 23, and something else to get into what? Arizona may or may not trade. They shouldn't. I hope to God they don't. Marvin Harrison Jr., boom. Chargers, they're not taking a quarterback. If I'm the Vikings, I don't move. Like, we're looking at it right here. The Vikings, so it's going to go quarterback. If they can't get into the top 3, they might as well just not move because they're going to get maybe that next quarterback. Some say that they're going to go 4 quarterbacks in a row, but the Arizona Cardinals would have to trade out. Arizona's not taking a quarterback. The Chargers aren't taking a quarterback unless Harbaugh gets crazy and it's like, send Herbert to the Minnesota Vikings for the 11 and 23. and then like there's no, and then they draft JJ McCarthy here. That's fairy tale world. That's La La Land. That's pixie dust, fairy dust. Doesn't it exist? Okay, so Chargers aren't taking a quarterback. Giants probably will consider it, but we don't know. So that's the only team. Tennessee won't, Atlanta won't, Chicago won't, Jets won't. There's only one team. If they don't move into the top 3, only one team's taking a quarterback between them and number 3 overall. So, okay, where was Perps $20 holler?
Alert. Super chat alert.
$20 super chat. $20 super chat.
Perps, appreciate you, bro. Darnold. God, I can't imagine how mad Perps is. Guy's probably smashed a few phones, a TV or two. Would 11-23 in the future 1 be enough to get Minnesota to the top 3? I believe so, Huffman. I believe so. Huffman's asking if you traded 11-23 in a first rounder. So if we go back to this board, so 11-23 and a future first rounder for 3, I believe that would get it done. I believe Washington won't trade it. I believe New England is, like Travis would tell you, very much like the Cardinals. Very much a team of concern for trading down. Very easily could see them screwing up the New England Patriots or the Cardinals and trading down, not taking advantage of the glory that is Marvin Harrison Jr. at 4, or the glory that could be JD 5, or some would say Drake May. I like Drake May. I don't hate Drake May at all. I like him. But yeah, that would probably get it done. But is Minnesota smart to do that? Because is Drake May better than Penix Jr. or Bo Nix anyway? I say no. I say Penix Jr. and Bo Nix are my 3 and 4. Well, honestly, Caleb's not even my 1, 2, 3, or 4 anyway. But in terms of expectations of Caleb going 1 and he's off the board, we know he's going off the board in the first 2 picks. So I'm going to just put him in there and say that my QB2, which is really my QB1, is JD 5. And then it's Bo Nix and Penix Jr. Probably, I don't know which one. I'm going back and forth. I'm flip-flopping on the 2. I love both of them. And, so Perps dropping I think another $20 hauler. Perps is coming in strong tonight. Perps, appreciate you, pal. Perps says I would give in a 4th for Fields and still drafted a QB for the future. Fields starts, helps grow the new draft pick QB, rides the pine, etc. Fields would be cheaper than Darnold. Great fleece job by the Steelers. And God, I don't understand it. I don't understand it. So back to the question at hand and the reason we're here, Dynasty. Where's my Dynasty? There we go. I would say this. I would say that if you Perps with a $20, I forgot to give him a
alert. Super chat alert.
$20 super chat.
Perps to the moon. Superflex, I bet you he's the cheapest QB you can get that has value above the last starting quarterbacks, and that's good. I mean, like if you trade for him in a Superflex, you can't use him. He's not going to be playing. So it's kind of like you're trading for a Sam Howell or a Geno. Geno's going to be the starter. Sam Howell could take over. So it's like Howell and Fields have very similar dynasty value probably to a lot of people. Now, to me, I think Fields will be in there. I think Fields will play more than 51% of the snaps. I think the Chicago Bears look like fools by the end of this. Is there a chance that Pittsburgh screws it up? Yeah, because Arthur Smith is commanding things. He's the offensive coordinator in Pittsburgh. And this is so disappointing because, and I'm sure Ron probably feels a bunch of mixed feelings right now because he hates Tomlin right now. I don't like Arthur Smith. I like Tomlin more than Ron, but I do agree Tomlin's got some problems, or did, and now look at Tomlin and the Steelers making great QB moves. No matter what you think of Russell Wilson, you got to like one of the two. And if you doubt Fields, you got to feel like either Russell Wilson or Fields, one of them is going to work out. It's really a genius move. And it's what I was saying all night long last night, that 31 teams at the time, because we didn't know the Steelers were involved yet or what was going on. 31 teams, every team but the Chicago Bears, and really even including the Chicago Bears, need to view Fields as the most valuable player right now that you can acquire in a trade, because he dropped below starter value and the whole game has changed. The whole value has changed. And same thing in Dynasty Fantasy Football. You need to look at him as a different person now, a different player, a different product that you can grab that will be a sleeping giant. It's not a starter. You don't have to buy him as a starter. You could give up a Sam Howell. You could give up a wide receiver 3-4 in a super flex. You could give up a wide receiver 3-4 in a super flex because he's not a starter. So in Dynasty, phone lines are open if you want to dial in. In Dynasty, I love the acquisition. I even especially love at a startup the idea of drafting Fields as your QB2 and just making sure in a super flex, not a mandatory 2 QB, two very different things, but in a super flex you draft like a Mahomes or a Hurts or a Josh Allen or a Joe Burrow or a Stroud, and your second quarterback you go balls to the wall. You draft Fields, draft a couple other guys like Hendon Hooker that could get in there, and you bank on the fact that you're not starting a quarterback in your super flex, but you have Fields waiting in the wings. Maybe you got Fields and Howell. Maybe you got a crafty little combo like that. But you're anticipating going wide receiver 3 type player in your super flex, running back 3 flex type running back in your super flex, and you bank on Fields. I'm fine with that strategy. Maybe not in every league, of course, but that's a fun strategy in Dynasty Startup Superflex. Because I really believe long-term, he probably is the Pittsburgh Steelers' long-term quarterback. I believe in Fields enough to say, I know he's broken. He has the chance of busting. Arthur Smith doesn't help matters. If Arthur Smith wasn't there, I'd be to the moon right now for Fields, really. And that goes to show those people, that one guy, whatever his name was, that thought I was a Steeler hater. That should prove to you is nothing true at all. There's no truth to that at all. I'd be to the moon on Fields in Pittsburgh. Even with Russell Wilson there, I'd be banking on it, betting on it, a gambling man. And I'd be like, give me this value in Dynasty because Arthur Smith's not there. They got Kingsbury. They got Kellen Moore. That's who Pittsburgh should have went after. And for those that defend Arthur Smith is not a good passing offensive coordinator. Like, he does have good running track record in Tennessee, and even in Atlanta he did fairly well running the ball. It's just his decisions with Bijan that left a bad taste in our mouth. But he's an incompetent decision maker with personnel. Clearly, he doesn't know who his talent is. He didn't use Pitts. He didn't use London. He didn't use Bijan. He's an incompetent man when it comes to that. But maybe Tomlin makes all the personnel decisions, and then Arthur just dials up some run. But if Arthur's in charge of the pass, Fields and Russell Wilson won't shine under Arthur Smith's command because Arthur Smith doesn't excel in the passing game. So no matter what you think of Arthur Smith, if he succeeds, he's only succeeding with the run. All right, dial in. Phone lines are open. They're right here. We won't be here too long tonight. In fact, I don't know. We may end up setting a timer on this. We got 71 on Twitter. We got 56 on the YouTube Dynasty channel. I don't know how many are on Instagram. Let me go check and see. We've got oh god, I didn't even start it on Instagram yet. There we go. All right, we're live on Instagram now as well. So hopefully my Instagram people are going to file on in. But phone lines are open. We're discussing whether Fields is a good dynasty player in fantasy football. We're also discussing, what's the likelihood he's in the lineup at some point. Phone lines are open. Dial in. Let me read some of the chat messages that are here. Arthur's issue was never consolidating the touches to his best playmakers. He wasn't consolidating, correct. How much do the Steelers have to pay Fields? I'll find that out in the morning as far as the exact numbers. Tweeter Yeah, we've got, how many people we got on the Twitter? 76 people on X. We got 58 on the Dynasty channel. Punch that thumb up button on your way in the door. Appreciate you. And Travis, you're wanting to call in. Phone line's open. Arthur's been good before. That's why he gets these jobs. He's been good with the run, though. He hasn't been good really with the pass. He's not like a passing savant. You know what I'm saying? Jeff says 3.2. Fields is Russ. Russ will leave next year. Again, that's my point, Perry, is I think that the dynasty value is with Fields. Everybody's saying there's no chance he plays 51% of the snaps. I don't think Tomlin and the Steelers are going to be worried and petty about a 6-rounder turning into a 4. I don't think they care. I think they want to win games. So end of day, I think they don't care about that. They're not going to dial back the play of Fields so that he doesn't play 51% of the games. They're going to, at some point, pull the plug on Russell Wilson. If that's week 4, it's week 4. They're not going to say, let's wait until exactly this week. Tomlin's used to winning regular season games. He doesn't want to lose. Am I live on YouTube? I sure am, Alex. Links in my bio. It's youtube.com/Dynasty Fantasy Football, Alex. Yeah, it's got Dynasty on right here. What's up, Rob? Rob from Hawaii, my guy. What's up, my guy?
What's up, Smitty?
Yo.
So I just wanted to call and talk about Arthur for a minute because people, they get a misconception like I'm defending the dude or something. I'm not defending him at all. I just know that he's a good play caller. He is a good play caller. Do I like him as a coach? I don't. I don't think he was a good head coach at all. But is he a good play caller? Yes. He put players in positions to make plays. Like last year, for instance, Kyle Pitts and Jonnu Smith. All of those, screen plays that he was dialing up for Jonnu Smith, he could have easily sent those plays to Pitts instead, who's more athletic, faster, stronger type. Well, he's not stronger, but he's faster, more athletic, and he's a better player than Jonnu Smith. But instead, this guy, he likes to spread the ball around rather than consolidating touches to his main playmakers, and that's his biggest issue. But I
got to push back on you on that one, bro. I got to push back on you. There's no more misused player in the National Football League maybe than Kyle Pitts, so I don't know how you could bring him into the conversation at all. Arthur Smith, absolutely.
I'm saying that's exactly what I'm saying.
She out of the bed.
All of the screen plays and all of the little crossing routes that he used to dial up for Jonnu Smith, he could have easily been calling those plays for Kyle Pitts instead. And I think Kyle Pitts would have did a lot better with the touches. That's exactly what I'm saying. He know how to call plays.
I disagree with you. I think he knows how to call running plays. I don't think he knows how to call passing plays to the degree you're describing at all. There's no track record that makes me say, Arthur Smith's a top 10.
The screen game is a little bit different than calling I'm not saying he's a spread offense type of guy.
Look.
As far as running backs and tight ends,
but you're talking. Good. But here's the problem. You're talking about he's a good play caller. He's not a good play caller. He's a potentially good run play caller. We don't even know if that exists anymore because his incompetence to use his talent was beyond me. Head-scratchingly bad. Kyle Pitts, London, Bijan. Bijan was the number 8 overall pick. He didn't use him, bro. He wasn't even his second running back off the bench when they were in the goal line situations. It was pitiful, despicable. Okay, so that alone makes you worry about his decision-making. Maybe he used to be good. Maybe the Tennessee days are behind him. You can't just say he was good then, now he's good now. The other part that I have a problem with is that the pieces that are the most cloudy and that need the most repair and molding and sculpting are the quarterback. He's awful with quarterbacks. I mean, look at Ritter. Look how inept Ritter was, and we don't even know how bad Ritter was or how good Ritter was.
Ritter is a bad player, though, man.
But we don't even know how bad he is.
He revived Tannehill's career. I'll give him that much.
I don't know that I would go that far, bro. And not to mention, it was so long ago. How can we just pull that on over and say, okay, he's going to take this kind of confusing situation?
He wasn't a head coach either.
Well,
he's going to go back to his role.
Look, I appreciate you. I appreciate you, bro. I'm just saying that, like you're saying, you're not defending him. I mean, you are, and it's okay if you are. If you believe in Arthur Smith, bro, do you? I mean, I'm not mad, but
I don't believe in him at all.
Okay, it sounds like you do, though. But it sounds like you do, Rob.
I believe in the talent that the Steelers and the the other teams have. That's what it is.
But I mean, you're
at the
defending
end of
him.
the day,
You're defending
as
him
long
pretty
as you guys
hardcore,
get
which
on
is
the field-
fine. Which is fine. But you can't say I'm not defending. I want people to think I'm defending. You totally are. And that's okay. I'm not mad at you. You can have that take. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, but you totally are Team Arthur Smith. I mean, you're literally.
Oh, hell no.
Bro, you are. Ask the chat. Okay, let's take a vote. Is he pro Arthur Smith? You are. You've been arguing the entire time you're on the phone, which again I'm not mad about. I love different opinions, and I'm the first one to tell you there is a chance that he's better than we all think because he's now only OC, not head coach. This is the same thing I say. Kyle Shanahan's one of the worst personnel decision makers I've ever seen at a head coaching level that is as good as he is as an OC. Everything Shanahan does good comes from the positions and the skills and the duties of an OC. And Shanahan does all those things amazingly. And he controls all that. He does everything. But Shanahan makes awful personnel decisions and awful game time clock management decisions. Awful decisions top to bottom that aren't related to OCing. He's an amazing OC. When Shanahan does good and they win games and they're an NFC champion, everybody says, and now how do you feel about him? The exact same. Because everything that you just described was done because he's a great OC. And so Arthur Smith, he's playing devil's advocate, says Mr. TD, pro Arthur Smith. So, you know, I think everyone assumes that you're definitely pro Arthur Smith.
This is my argument because like I said, I'm not a big fan of Arthur myself. I'll be the first to admit it because I got Bijan and Gibbs in pretty much like 90% of my Dynasty leagues. So I'm not really a fan of him, but I do see the ability to play caller. Do he always make the right decisions as far as who to give the touches? No, he don't, because he was using Tyler Algier when he could have been given.
Okay, so circling back,
circling
back, I don't know that he's the right man for the job, bro. That's what I'm saying, and I don't want him there. And so for that reason, I'm very skeptical of 2024 value. But this is the Dynasty channel, and I have to say I'm pretty intrigued by Fields' hidden value. Like I almost like that Fields isn't the starter all year under Arthur Smith, because if Russell Wilson goes out there and Arthur Smith blows him up, then Fields kind of comes in. Maybe Tomlin's taking away some of Arthur Smith's duties at that point, and maybe it's a blessing in disguise. Maybe Fields comes in the double-digit weeks 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and then you're talking about that 50%, number we're all looking at, wondering if the pick's going to be. I could just see it right now. It's going to be borderline whether the pick's going to go from a 6 to a 4 because of the 51% amount of games started turns that conditional pick from a 6 to a 4 in the trade. But I think Fields is going to take over the job at some point when Arthur Smith blows it up, because Russell Wilson is still a project to repair. Everyone's saying, ESPN says it's not even a competition. Good. I'm glad it's not, because now I look at Fields from a different perspective. This is like when Charbonnet was drafted to the Seattle Seahawks, and my example of Kenneth Walker was what? How high was Kenneth Walker getting drafted in January and February coming off of the 2022 season? He was getting drafted in the 14 to 18 range. Kenneth Walker had a second round, mid-second round value in fantasy football drafts coming out of the 2022 season. When we walked into the 2023 NFL draft, Charbonnet was taken. Kenneth Walker fell to the third round, the fourth round, the fifth round. Eventually settled in about round 6, 5, 6, 7, depending on where you're drafting. What did people do? They sat on their hands and said the same thing they said when he was in the second round. Too risky. Charbonnet might take over. Too risky. Okay, ADP's falling. Picture it like a those things on social media where it shows like what search engine was used, at what year, and then as they go and they start going through the timeline, and as you get to like 2000, it starts going up, and you go to 2005 and 2010, and you see all these things, these charts go like this and move. Think of it like that. Like that. That's the way I look at this, and I see the value changing, and personally, I'm sidetracking and losing my train of thought even on what I was saying. What was I saying, Trap?
What you're saying is Fields is the best buy low candidate there is in Dynasty.
I am saying that. But what was Travis always gets me back on point. What was I saying, Travis, to maybe even say that?
I'm sorry, I zoned out.
Damn it, Travis! You're always there. He's always there for me. He's always there for me to get me right back on track.
To sum it up, Arthur Smith said.
Well,
man, I'm not disagreeing with that. I just think he called an efficient offense. He just got to be better at the players that being put out there on the field.
Kenneth Walker. Okay, so Kenneth Walker's value was a second rounder, right? Second rounder. So February goes by, he drops to the third round. A couple days go by, he drops to the fourth round. A couple days go by, he drops to the fifth round. A couple weeks go by, he drops to the sixth round. All of a sudden, everybody's saying when he was a second, too risky. Third, too risky. Fourth, too risky. Fifth, too risky. Sixth rounder, they're saying the same thing like a parrot that they said when Kenneth Walker was living in round 2 without Zach Charbonnet. And then once he was in round 6, nobody adapted. Nobody said, let me close this door, walk out of the room, slap my face a little bit, open the door, walk back in, and adjust and say, where's Kenneth Walker going? Round 6? That's fantastic value considering the new risk assessment that we have for him. That's what I'm saying here from a dynasty perspective. Everybody that had Fields, we just adjust and adapt. You got to let go of yesterday. It doesn't matter at all anymore where we thought Fields was going to go, what his value was. We need to walk out of the room, close the door, slap ourselves in the face, walk back in and say, what's Fields' value right now? Back up. Okay, what's his upside? Top 12 quarterback. Is he a lock to play at that level sometime this year? No. Could he, though? Yes. Okay. Is he a great value as a backup quarterback? 100%. Dynasty, buy him now.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to try to buy him with a lot of second-round picks and some leads just because of this trade. I know people are going to be down on him. I'm probably going to send a lot of mid to late second-round picks and most of my leagues to see if I can go get them.
Yeah. Travis, what's up, my guy?
Hey, just real quick, in terms of Arthur Smith, I've said this before. I'm not sure he resurrected anyone's career. I think Derrick Henry helped keep Tannehill's career alive.
Yeah, it's a good
because
point.
It was handing off to him 378 times the first 2 years he was there. 1,500, 2,000 yards. It was just Derrick Henry was just unbelievable. His Tannehill's first 2 years there, and I kind of attribute that to Arthur Smith's quote-unquote success, too. I mean, we'll see. He's in a new offense. He has a chance to prove us naysayers wrong. So we have to wait and see, I guess. But I don't
completely agree with that. I would completely agree with that. I would say the players around him, too, because not only did they have Henry, they had A.J. Brown. I'm just saying the style of offense. Like, he liked to do short dump-offs to the tight end. He liked to do play action. He run the ball a lot. He liked to do a lot of deep crossing routes, and I think that would be good for Pickens. And anytime you can get Fields outside of the pocket on a bootleg, that's pretty much Russell's play style. That's why I'm thinking that they can actually be good.
Russell Wilson's 35 years old, right? I think. Ziggy, how old is Russell Wilson?
Something like that. Like 34, 35.
35. Ziggy off. Russell Wilson's 35 years old. Justin Fields. Ziggy off. Son of a bitch. Russell Wilson's 35 years old, and Fields is 25. So, from a dynasty perspective, this is a no-brainer if we're talking Fields versus Russell Wilson. There's just no debate at all. Doesn't matter if Russell Wilson starts. Like, if you need a starter, I get it. You're like, hey, I can't afford to go Fields because I need a starter. Then I get that perspective. But from what's their value, you almost have to look at it like, okay, Russell Wilson's an old dog. But if we ask just because I want to get a natural opinion from people, for 2024, get into your 2024 redraft bag of tricks and vote in the chat, and then you guys can give me your vote on the phone line. Who do you see playing and starting for a team in 2025? Who's more likely starting for an NFL team in 2025? Russell Wilson at 36 years old, given everything that's happened with him, who's playing on a 1-year deal for the Pittsburgh Steelers, or Justin Fields?
I say Fields.
Justin.
Yeah.
Easily Justin. I think Justin should
Granted,
start this year.
Yeah.
I do think Russell Wilson will just be
clearly the
that,
more talented
that
player.
cockroach that hangs around. Always pop. Russell Wilson's going to pop up on a team for the next 3 years, I feel like, no matter what. Kind of just hang around, but
You
I don't
also
necessarily think he'll be that good.
you also have to keep in mind this: if Russell Wilson plays well, then they've got it. Like, he has to play lights out for them to want to bring him back. You know, but if he
Right.
plays well, they're not going to want to sign him to a contract. Right now, he's playing for $1 million. So that's why Russell Wilson's most likely not in the picture. So let me ask you this question: if you're this coaching staff in Pittsburgh, do you want to develop a guy that you're not going to have around next year, or do you want a guy that's probably going to be around for a few years to be the guy that eventually gets, tutored and up to speed? That's what I'm saying. Like, that's why this ESPN report of that they're not going to compete is crazy to me. And maybe they don't, but why would you want Russell Wilson in there? I mean, maybe they expect him to maybe prove himself, and then they do sign him to a 2-year deal. Maybe it's cheaper than we think and whatever. But Fields is probably the guy that they, I would imagine, want to keep, and he's more likely to be the long-term option. He just is. He's 25 years old. Russell Wilson's 35, and he's on a 1-year deal. It's at some point.
The argument is kind of crazy.
At some point, if Russell Wilson is not delivering, they're not going to keep going down that road. They're going to try. They're going to sub him out. That's why they went after him. They didn't go after him. He's a great potential Taysom Hill option for anybody while they wait on him. But the intention here is maybe he's the guy. Maybe Russ is the guy. At least we're solving the problem one way or another. One way or another, they're solving the problem. My whole thing, and maybe Ron will agree with this. Ron just joined in. I think that the best solution is to have Fields not get ruined at the beginning of the year if Arthur Smith is not doing well with this thing. That way Fields comes in later. But I don't know. Ron, how are you feeling about this news in general? We're trying to keep it dynasty related, so keep it as short as you can from a redraft perspective. What are you thinking here? Were you excited? Are you still so pissed off at Tomlin, or are you starting to feel like Tomlin might be making different decisions now? What's going on in your mind?
What's up, Ron?
I feel bad for Fields.
Yeah, I mean,
I feel so bad for Fields that he's got to go to a place that can't develop quarterbacks. That he needed a place that with a good, strong coaching staff, and he had to go with Steelers. That's just bad.
Good point.
What do you think happens though by midseason? You think Fields is in there? I truly do. I think Russell Wilson's like broken. I think Fields is broken, but Russell Wilson's the one that's got to go first. And if he's broken and he goes first, guess who's coming in? And hopefully Fields gets fixed. But Fields is broken too.
Who's gonna? That's my point. Who's gonna fix Fields? There's no coach on the Steelers that can fix Fields. They couldn't do anything with Rudolph. They gave up on him. Couldn't do nothing with Pickett. They couldn't do nothing prior to anything after Ben. Ben was already developed. They have nobody to develop quarterbacks. So I feel bad for
I will
Fields
say though that
because
he's got more weapons. And if you just let Fields play in Pittsburgh, it's going to be better than it was in Chicago. I agree with you on them developing QBs, but he's got some more weapons to play with to actually show what he can do.
I will say that I think that Tomlin will have his thumb on Arthur a little bit. I don't think it'll all be up to Arthur.
I think Russ, being the veteran, will start. And then after that, if Russ gets hurt, that's it. Because they bring in Fields and say,
that's all pretty evident at this point. But what we're saying is, does Russ get replaced, though, Tyler?
Stay for a year, and he's still healthy for a year. They'll say, okay, Fields, you learn from Russ for a year, get the Steelers, mindset. And then Russ, after this year, you're gone. being age and how Fields is more athletic than you are.
I think Fields replaces him by midseason. Russ doesn't. As much as I was excited about the Russ signing, I was not excited about it with Arthur Smith, and that's when that guy was screaming at me in that live stream. I made it abundantly clear that I'm not anti-Steeler at all. And I'll say it again right now. If the Steelers had went out to Ron's point and what I've been saying for freaking a month now, practically, if it's even been that long, that if the Steelers brought in Kellen Moore, Kingsbury, somebody that could unleash the offense in a different way, create something new, create something fresh, create something that's not vanilla, that I would be all in on the Steelers offense in 2024, even with Russell Wilson. But I would 100,000% be all in with Fields and the Steelers offense and defense, especially with a good offensive coordinator.
Right.
But with Tyler, hold on. But with
if he outplays him like during practice, but Russ still
call terminated.
I don't know if his phone doesn't work, but like Tyler will just keep talking over. Like I don't think he hears.
Yeah.
So I just had to ditch him. Tyler, you can call back, but like you gotta turn. I don't know what you do. Do you take the phone away and just start talking like this, and you can't hear anybody? I don't know what's going on, Tyler. All right, hang tight. I'll put Tyler on hold. He's calling back in. Tyler, your phone had bad reception or something to cut out.
Hey.
Yeah.
All right, hold on, Tyler.
Only...
Hold on, Tyler.
Okay.
But I was just saying that I think that I don't know what I was saying at this point. Go ahead, Tyler. Take the microphone back.
No, my only feeling of it is, and who knows at this point, is that they signed Russ first before they signed Fields. So they're going to give Russ at least, okay, you get it, and then if you get hurt or if Fields outplays you during practice, then you're gone.
Yeah, but I think
or
he gets replaced.
Back up.
I don't think that would matter.
If he gets replaced, he gets replaced. That's only because of talent. Or he gets hurt.
Hey, we got a special guest on the phone here right now. He's been so patient. I added him, and he hasn't said a word yet. This guy's he follows the rules now. It's Denny. Denny, what are you thinking?
I just took I took a huge bite of a hot dog. I was chewing it.
Yeah.
I gotta be honest. Okay, so Fields, but so how do we feel about Pickens?
He's so drunk.
Like, what are they gonna do with him?
You know the guy.
Yeah, that guy. Guy with the little hands.
Denny.
Smitty.
Denny, you focus on that hot dog, Denny. You focus on devouring that hot dog. We don't know. We've been talking about the whole show, Denny.
Natural casings.
We've been talking about what do they do with Fields the whole show. And what I think the general consensus is at some point.
I didn't mean now.
At some point, I think Fields will replace Russell Wilson. I think the logical mind would say that. I don't think Russell Wilson fends off Fields the entire year because Russ is broken, and Russ is being coached by Arthur Smith. And so a broken Russell Wilson with kind of shattered confidence and a broken offensive coordinator in Arthur Smith makes me feel like there's no way Fields isn't going to scare the piss out of Russell Wilson at some point, and Russell's going to screw up and start talking to imaginary friends again on the field and unravel. But that isn't to say, to be fair, that if Fields starts week 1 with Arthur Smith and Fields is broken, that he won't see Russell Wilson behind him and say, damn it, I'm scared too. So that's why I'm kind of excited that the news right now, and this could change, if Russell Wilson looks awful in camp, you'll hear different. They're not going to stick to what they said now because they said it. They're going to do what's right for the team. But I hope that Russell Wilson starts week 1. And I hope that Fields comes in and takes the job from him like week 5, 6, 7, 8. And I'm hopeful that his impromptu ability will make it kind of hard for Arthur Smith to destroy him as much as he could destroy Russell Wilson. So to Ron Navy's concerns, Ron, I do believe that you're in better hands with Fields because he's harder to screw up from a coaching perspective. Not that Arthur can't dial up bad plays, but I do believe that a quarterback that can play off script to the degree that Fields can play, he's way more apt to delivering and succeeding, and I feel like it's going to be a good thing at the end of the day.
Yeah, but you got hashtag broken to the fourth power.
Hi, Ronnie.
So you got, hey, what's up, Denny? You
Yeah.
got
Chilling,
hashtag
chilling,
broken
bro.
to the fourth power. You got Wilson broken. You got Fields broken. You got Arthur Smith broken, and you got a head coach that's been broken for several years. They can't do nothing in the playoffs. So you got broken to the fourth power. How's that add up to anything positive?
Well, I don't know that I'm saying it's a perfect world. I'm just saying, as I said, it's your best shot. You know, I don't think Russell Wilson's going to get it done with Fields on his heels. I think that it's almost a counteractive move to have a guy like Fields behind your quarterback if your quarterback's shaky. And that's why, in a sense, Chicago had to get out of the situation. You can't have a rookie quarterback with Justin Fields sitting behind him. At the same time, is that worse than getting rid of him at a 6th-round pick? I would say yes. I'd say getting rid of him as a 6th-round pick is worse than keeping him behind Caleb. So I think Poles absolutely got blasted in this trade. Poles made one of the worst trades I've seen in a long time. I'm not a fan of this guy, Poles. Everybody acts like Poles is just this great GM. The Claypool trade, passing on Stroud, everybody making excuses for that. It wasn't Stroud. Nobody thought Stroud. Everybody was talking about Bryce Young. It was not. It was only Carolina that was hell bent on he was the number one. There was a lot of competition and people jumping back and forth between the two. I don't even want to hear that. Like Stroud, you passed on Stroud. Even if Bryce Young was the consensus, you still messed it up by not drafting Stroud, who was very much in contention though of being the number one. And so you screwed that up, and you go ahead and you draft Caleb Williams, and instead of waiting at least until a team got struck with injury, or you waited until draft day, you decided you had to make this move right now, and you gave him away for a 6th-round pick. It's an awful trade. Awful trade. Pittsburgh Steelers, Ron, whether it works out or not because of Arthur Smith, which is the problem. Like, Ron's right, and to a degree, I absolutely hate the Arthur Smith move so much that it makes me not want to own these guys, really, until it all clears and Arthur Smith's gone. That's a whole wasted year. That's what stands in the way. It's a big roadblock. My example earlier, it's like buying brand new shoes for a race. You got 2 shoes. You got Fields, you got Wilson. They're great shoes. You can go far with them. And you show up to the race and you decide not to bring them. And you're going to run in sandals. Like, it doesn't make any sense at all. It's counterintuitive. But I will say that to Arthur Smith, Steelers still blasted the hell out of him. Like, if you were to flip this later to a team that lost a quarterback or something, you're going to get 5 times the amount, 8 times the amount of the value. Like, this was a fantastic trade on paper. It's just a matter of, does Arthur Smith piss all over the blueprints? That's the problem. That's what Ron's saying, and Ron's right. There's a huge elephant in the room, and his name's Arthur Smith, and he has one of the worst mustaches we've ever seen.
Is there any such thing as a bad mustache? I have a nice one now.
No, Arthur Smith is not. That's the one. That's the
I
one.
got a nice mustache now.
No, he doesn't.
You know, I swear I'm rocking my mustache right now. Chicago gets the first. He's gone. You know, like that sad song. He's gone.
Can you sing it to us? Can you sing it to us?
He's gone. I got a little on the Fields gone. He's gone. It's gone from Chicago. So what are they going to do with that pick, Smitty? What the hell are they going to do with that pick?
Yeah. Hey, Twitter. Twitter, if you got a question. Hey, I just posted on Twitter. Hey, guys, if you have a question, ask it, Twitter. I'd be happy to answer it for you. We're not going to always be streaming on Twitter alongside of YouTube, but I want to get, especially during free agency, I've been doing it a lot more, trying to get the Twitter folks involved so we can have them come over to YouTube, because the show is on YouTube, but we're doing it for a little while. So ask if you got a question. And if you have a request for Denny, he'll sing you a song.
Well, I gotta take a lap already. I'm now. Finally watching the show, and I gotta take a lap. No, I should. No trade. Oh, what are they gonna do?
What's Denny saying? Does anybody know?
What are the Pats gonna do at 3? They hate it.
Can I get an interpreter? What are you saying, Denny? Denny, how much longer are you going to be up, do you think? If you had to guess before your head hits the floor, how long are we talking? 20, 30 minutes? 8 minutes?
To be honest with you, yeah, I need to take a nap. I got to get up and work and stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? These looks don't pay for themselves.
True. You got to get...
What?
All right, hey, Denny, anything else you want to add before we let you go here? Give me a prediction.
I thought number 3 overall, it's going to be the kid from LSU is going to the Pats. Who's the QB from LSU, sweetie?
I love how he calls me sweetie. JSN's going to the Washington Commanders, my guy. That's my prediction anyway. Denny Dots coming in strong. Coming in hot.
Coming in hot, man. Hey, I love you guys. Thanks for having me over.
All right. Hey, Denny, appreciate you. Go get some rest, bro. You got to get up soon. Later.
Yeah, definitely, man. I'll get some sleep.
All right.
Thanks,
later.
Later.
Denny's fried. Ron, what else you got? I know you're pissed off at Tomlin, but you have to be a little bit closer to happy. You have to be a little bit, just a little bit, because you got 2 quarterbacks now. I know you like Pickett a lot. I'm sure that pissed you off actually, but I mean, you got to feel pretty good at least about the fact that, like, if Arthur Smith gets canned in 1 year, or let's say they fire him mid-season. You know what they pull a Buffalo Bills situation? They fire him mid-season. Like, you got to feel like you're one step closer to having a complete team, though, right? Your defense you're making good moves. I mean, Tomlin's been making good moves, other than the Arthur Smith signing, which was awful and counterintuitive. But
Pickett was his own fault because he couldn't keep his mouth shut and he couldn't do the right thing. So. That was all on Pickett, but I don't know. I don't. The only good thing that I see coming out of this is it becomes a disaster year. Tomlin has a losing season and finally he's gone. That's the positive I see out of it. Tomlin finally being gone after all this stuff, and honestly, I mean, Fields has a lot of talent, but he needs to be developed. And there's nobody on Pittsburgh that can develop him. That's the bottom line. And I feel bad for him. I feel bad because he should have went to a team where he had strong coaching and he could have developed into something good. But Pittsburgh will ruin him just like they ruin everything. They ruin Pickett. They ruin people. They ruin quarterbacks.
I might have to carry Ron for a couple months. I might be a bigger Steeler fan than Ron right now. Ron, you get on top of my shoulders. I'll walk you through the neck deep swamp.
I'm just being real.
I know you are. I'm just saying. I want to see you back. I don't like this. I don't like this Ron as much. I thought this would be a fun Ron that was pessimistic on the Steelers and not just so hell bent all the time. Steelers are gonna beat all of you. You're always so pro Steeler. Like I'm not liking this version as much. I want you back.
Ron already turned on Pickett.
I mean, I've missed some shows because I've had company and stuff like that. But anyways, what? This is kind of off subject, but I'd love to hear what Perp's feelings is about going from contender to pretender with the Vikings in that
pissed.
situation.
He's not happy. He dropped a super chat.
And he was all happy to get rid of Cousins. He didn't mind getting rid of Cousins at all, but it seemed like grass is always greener on the other side till you lose the guy that can get you to where you need to go.
Yeah. Hey, Al, are you still here, bro?
We had a good trade.
Real quickly, hold on one second, guys. I'm sorry. Al, are you still here? I don't know why these super chats didn't alert me. Can you name the top 10 Dynasty picks for the 2024-2025 season? I mean, it's tough to give you a 10 list like that, especially without scoring. There's so many combinations, super flex. Like, I would just say, like, in general, let me just tell you that, like, it's hard to place JJ right now. That's the biggest crutch in a top 10 ranking right now because you don't have a quarterback. But so like it's easier to say Lamb, Hill, JJ, Jamar Chase, they're all really close. It depends on if it's full PPR, half PPR. All those things matter. But I am not afraid to put Bijan number 1 overall in a dynasty. I'm not afraid to put Hall number 2, Gibbs number 3. JJ ultimately, I think, works out. I just, if he gets McCarthy or they go with Sam Darnold and they don't fix the position next year, there's a world where JJ doesn't rebound quickly to the number 1 wide receiver. Even in Dynasty, I know people are like, it'll be fine in Dynasty. We don't know that. But at the same time, how far can you drop him? Like below Lamb? And Hill's going to be further down. We're talking Dynasty. When I said Hill, I was thinking redraft for a second. We're on the Dynasty channel. Hill would be further down, obviously, but like Lamb, Jamar Chase, JJ, Marvin Harrison Jr., Bijan, Hall, Gibbs, even Kyron. I still love Kyron. CMC at the bottom of round 1, the round maybe 1-2 turn picks, 12, 13, 14. That's where CMC would probably slot. But like I have no real way, Al, to give you an exact top 10 because every time I do it, I'm putting RBs more so in the top 5 than I normally would. And the next time I do a draft, I'm putting wide receivers and loading up there. It's tough to say, but it's so close that you could argue that Hall's number 1 or number 7, Bijan's number 1 or number 5, JJ's number 1 or number 5, Chase is number 6 or number 2, Lamb is 1, 2, or 3, or 5 or 6. Like all those, I think, are super arguable, and really what it comes down to is we've never really had a closer top 10 overall before, and that would be my answer to you for right now. And you did clarify Superflex in this question. If we're talking Superflex, the only players that jump into the first round that are non-QBs would probably be... That's the problem, is now we're down to like Lamb, JJ, Jamar Chase, Marvin Harrison Jr. Which one is the wide receiver 1? Some people have Lamb number 1 right now. I don't blame them. I'd probably say Lamb Chops and maybe JJ still go in round 1, and I'd probably say Bijan and maybe Hall, maybe Gibbs go in round 1, but where? Probably 7, 8, 12, 13. That's where those guys would probably go. It's tough to say, especially with scoring. Everything's different. Al, appreciate you. Is Al still here? Did Al respond? Travis, did you see him by chance? Hope Al's still here.
I'm looking. At which one, Al Bundy or Al Guapo?
Al Guapo. He dropped 2 super chats asking that question. I hope he's still here. Okay.
He just said thanks.
Okay. Yeah, I wish I could give you like an exact answer. Okay, go ahead. Whoever is talking, was it Ron or Travis? Apologize.
Ron.
Well,
they're Ron, bro.
I will give you something positive about the Steelers, Smitty.
All right.
I did like the signing of Queen.
Okay.
But that's on the defensive ball, though. Queen was a good sign. I thought that was pretty good. But that was the only positive thing I've seen from the Steelers so far.
Yeah, I mean, your defense is going to be good. So we'll have to see how it all plays.
But it always is, and it always holds up the offense. That's the problem.
When's the last time? What's the last good quarterback you've had? I know we're unsure how it's going to shake out, but you got 2 of them. So like, when's the last good quarterback? Yeah, it's been a while.
Roethlisberger.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and even at his, it was the defense. Defense and luck. Why we made the playoffs in his last season, because he was done. He was like Peyton Manning on Denver his last year. He couldn't throw the ball worth nothing because he was injured. He just couldn't do it. So I don't know, Smitty.
I think you should be a little bit more optimistic, but maybe my advice would be to think more long-term about it, Ron. I think if you go into thinking 2024 is the year, you're going to be disappointed. But I think if you take this into a Like your whole concern should be how does Fields get into a rhythm, and this is all to set up 2025 and beyond. If you can get into that mindset,
Here's my big problem.
I don't think y'all have a problem.
Here's my big problem with that. Is I want Tomlin gone. I don't like Tomlin. I want him gone, and that's the problem. So it's hard for me to cheer on Fields or anybody else, especially after the crappy coaching hiring he's done and the crappy coaching that I feel he's done. He hires Arthur Smith.
That's awful.
How do I get positive about Fields or any of those guys?
Even if you hate him, though.
When all I want is Tomlin gone.
But even if you hate Tomlin, wouldn't you rather, even if it means Tomlin's still going to be there, wouldn't you rather, like, Fields get in, be successful, and them turn it around? Even if Tomlin's there, if they're winning, wouldn't you be happy?
But I'm not going to put false hope up there. No.
Yeah, but you know what, Ron, you're a true diehard Steeler fan, so no matter what, you're gonna have hope. I know you're mad right now. You're a stubborn man, and you're probably gonna hold it out for. You're gonna hold it out for a little while, but at some point you gotta get into Steeler mode, wear your Steeler hat, put on that sweaty cap.
The problem is, Smitty, that's how I was last year. Even though I can't stand Tomlin, last year I was into him. I was pushing him. I was rooting for him. But the same old Tomlin results happened in the end. One and done in the playoffs.
But just think.
Same old result.
Think 2 years out. Because I think Arthur gets replaced. But I would set my expectations on a 2-year window. Your whole thing should be like, let's wait for Fields to get in and become the player that I think he can become. And then go from there. But I do agree with you. The thing is, your defense will be so good.
Who's going to develop them?
Well, but think about it from this perspective, Ron. You guys didn't have an offense anyway. You know what I mean? Like, your team still made it to the playoffs. Your team still made it to the playoffs. Well, it was very vanilla for a while.
Coordinator.
It was very vanilla most of the year, though. And you still had wins. You still delivered. I'm just saying that, like, you could still sneak into the playoffs, even with a somewhat like shaky offense. Like, that's how good the defense is and how much you could just stay in each game. Tomlin is good at winning regular season games, and then hopefully
we have offensive talent. We had offensive talent. We have Pickens. We have, Freiermuth. We have Najee. We have Warren. We have all that talented offensive players. What's not clicking? The offensive coordinator. And so they fire him because they use the offensive coordinator. Tomlin uses them as an scapegoat. So when they start to fail, then he gets rid of and he makes a stupid hire again.
Here's what I want to ask, though. Maybe this needs to be looked at deeper, too. How good's Mike Sullivan? What do you think about Mike Sullivan? He's your QB coordinator. And my thinking here is that maybe Tomlin, because Tomlin is such a different coach than the average Bear, we don't know what Arthur Smith really has a handle on. Like, could be like Zach Robinson, who's the QB coordinator responsible for a lot of what the Rams did last year. And he was so good that he came over as OC in Atlanta. So Zach Robinson, the Rams QB coordinator that helped architect Puka Nacua, Stafford, Kyron Williams, all that stuff. He's now the offensive coordinator. So is Mike? I don't know anything about Mike Sullivan, really, to be honest with you. I don't know the history behind him, because if you believe in him, maybe things will be better than you think.
No, I don't.
Like him.
The last good offensive coordinator we had on the Steelers was Bruce Arians. He's the one that developed Ben. He had a great offense. He's the only reason they went to the Super Bowl in 2011, even though they lost to Green Bay. But but that was a Cowher coach.
But my thinking is, what if Mike Sullivan has been a little bit of a puppet master behind the scenes, and he's the reason why you're going after these quarterback changes, and maybe he's got a little bit more control than we even know. and I'm just wondering. I don't know the details on this. I'm merely speculating, because these are not moves that Arthur Smith would make. I know he's not the coach, so it would come down to Tomlin. But I am almost certain that Arthur Smith or whoever's in charge of the QB room would be involved in this decision. And I wonder if Mike Sullivan is a little bit of a potential sleeping giant for you in terms of coming in and taking over more than we think. I don't know. I'm merely asking if you know anything about.
He was there. He was there, and what happened with Rudolph? Right? I mean, Sullivan was there with Rudolph. How come Rudolph didn't get developed better?
Yeah, but maybe that's.
Couldn't develop pick,
what if that was a good? What if that was?
How come he couldn't? How come he couldn't take a former number 1 pick that showed he showed Trubisky? He did better in Buffalo, right? Because there was a better coaching staff there, better coaches. And then he comes to Pittsburgh, and he's playing like he's got a hot potato and happy feet and no development.
But here's what I'm wondering, Ron.
But
here's what I'm wondering. I'm trying to investigate here. Mike Sullivan was the QB coach in Pittsburgh last year. He was elevated to QB coordinator. You don't elevate somebody.
Yeah.
You don't elevate somebody unless they prove something. Part of my thinking is maybe he had more to do with Rudolph and the ending there than we think. Maybe his success at the end of the year for you guys is why he's in a position that he's in. And I'm just wondering. I don't know. I'm trying to research this right now, and I'm hoping you have any insight on it.
Because if he was that good, why hire Arthur Smith? Why not just promote Sullivan to the offensive coordinator?
Maybe because because he's still climbing the ranks. They're molding him. Remember when what was his name? The Cowboys coach that was supposed to be groomed to be the what was his name?
Name the last coach Tomlin's ever groomed. Tomlin's
Garrett.
Jason Garrett.
Only about
Jason
Tomlin.
Garrett was who I was thinking. Remember Garrett was they were slow rolling Garrett out. They're like, let's take our time. This is going to be the guy that takes us in, the new Jerry Jones. He's going to be there for 30, 40 years, and they slow rolled him out. Look, I'm pulling at straws. I'm grasping at straws here. I just feel like maybe there's something to this, and I'm hoping Arthur Smith is kind of the I don't know, the running back focused offensive coordinator, and then like Zach Robinson was super involved in the passing game as the QB coordinator in LA, and you'd think, oh, it's offensive coordinator. It's offensive coordinator. Really was Zach Robinson that had a lot to do with everything going on in LA. I just wonder if Mike Sullivan is this sleeping giant that is going to keep Arthur Smith at bay a little bit. There's a good run, and maybe this is why you're seeing a bunch of QB movement right now. Something's brewing in the QB room. Like the mindset, it's different. I just wonder if it's Mike Sullivan.
To add on to that real quick, if that was the case, because they definitely were using Rudolph, and it seemed like they were trying to. I mean, at the end of the day, I know you like Pickett, so no offense. It's hard to run anything but kind of a pop gun offense with quick passes and stuff.
It's kind of hard.
If he liked, someone like Rudolph, then he brings in someone like Fields who has a big arm, who can get the ball downfield to Pickens and whoever else. And it could be following that trend, like Smitty said, where, Rudolph is developed as far as he's going to go at this point. He is what he is, a good backup, can win a couple games for you, whatever. We need to bring in someone who has some upside here that we can actually develop now. So they move on from Pickett, bring in a Fields who, like I said, can get the ball downfield, can run a more dynamic offense than a Pickett, and go from there.
What makes you think that? I mean, Fields had DJ Moore, he had Mooney, he had all these people they put around him. Finally, and he still had to improvise and play backyard football. What makes you think he's going to do any better on the field?
Yeah, but Ron, I can tell you this. I could
are better franchise.
I could tell you this for a fact because of all the Chicago people I talk to on a daily basis, like the Bears fan pages, the Instagram guys, like all that. The Bears communities as a whole were so upset at the Bears play calling and the Bears coaching in weeks 1, 2, 3. that it was not being blamed on Fields yet. And I remember distinctly being in these chat groups. So I'm in a chat group for every single team. And some of them have bigger, heavy hitters in them, like Raj, RSA 49ers. I've got one for everything. My phone blows up all day long. It's why I have a 10% battery by like noon. It's a and I'm telling you, the Bears communities that I talk to on a daily basis were absolutely 100% blaming offensive coordinators, play calling, head coach, everything under the sun except for Ryan Poles. They love Ryan Poles no matter what. It's so weird. But they were literally, and all of a sudden Fields in week, 4 and 5, right? That he had his 2 blow-up games where you can't, as I always say, my phrase that I've coined, I think, is you can't trip and fall into the numbers Fields produced in weeks. Was it 3 and 4 or 4 and 5? I think it was 4 and 5. Whatever the case, it was the 2 top 3 quarterback games back to back that Fields had, where it was like 4 touchdowns and.
Yeah, but how Fields were running was with his legs.
No, they weren't running him that much. He didn't really run at all during that entire phase.
I know he had a game where Kmet went off. And Kmet had a great game, and Fields had a great game. And then I know he had a game where DJ Moore went off. But that's just 2 games out of 18.
I know it is, but what I'm trying to tell you is that it was majority of the complaints coming from all these very close to the situation fan bases that are looking at things even far greater than I am in terms of, every play call, and they're like, this is the shittiest play calling I've ever seen in my life. What are they doing? They're putting Fields in a position to lose. And all I'm telling you is you say things like they had Mooney, they had DJ Moore. Well, I'm telling you that when they did call plays right, when they did allow Fields to be Fields, he blew up. Granted, it was only a handful of games. It wasn't just the 2. He had other games, but they were spread out. But those 2 back-to-back games, everyone and their mother came into even the live stream that we had going, he's back. He climbed back into the top 5 quarterbacks after blowing weeks 1, 2, and 3. It just absolutely horrible weeks 1, 2, and 3. Fields was nothing. He had done nothing. And then he comes back in week 4 and 5. He's a top 5 quarterback immediately. And I know he had ups and downs, but I blame it on the Steelers. Not to mention Getsy's gone. I think Eberflus should have lost his job too. But Getsy was gone. So clearly Chicago using him as a scapegoat. But at the end of the day, what does that say? We failed Fields play calling wise. If you fire your offensive coordinator, how can you blame the quarterback? Because clearly that was the problem. And so now Fields is a scapegoat.
Everybody was blaming Pickett, and they fired Canada, right?
Well, to a degree,
Pickett.
And to a degree, Ron, you're right.
Pickett.
I mean, I just don't think we view Pickett as high of a ceiling as you do. But I do agree Pickett was set up to fail.
Pickett didn't get a start until mid of last year, right? His rookie year, he started. I mean, he didn't start right away. Trubisky started, right? So you go through that year, and at the end of the year. Pickett started showing a little bit of something. He was looking good. So now you get him into the next year, and you still have the same offensive coordinator. Things aren't working. You got a subpar offense. You fire Canada, but yet you use Pickett as a scapegoat. He gets injured. You don't even let him come back in, and you don't even give him an opportunity with a new offensive coordinator, which I don't think it would have made a difference anyways. Now check this out. I think Pickett going to the Eagles is great because he could sit behind Hurts. They got better coaching over there. I mean, they're better coaching all the way from top to bottom. They're better coaching, especially offensive coaching.
All right. Let me just.
It wouldn't surprise me if something happens to Hurts, which he's missed some games.
Hey, watch your mouth.
Injuries.
Watch your mouth.
Gets in there. Well, I'm just saying, he is. He's gotten injured a few times and he missed some games. Especially...
Alert. Alert. Panic mode initiated.
He was sitting on the bench hurt. So, Pickett might get a chance over there, and if he does, it wouldn't surprise me.
Okay.
I would love to see him just shine.
Anyway.
To throw it in the Steelers' face.
Pickett, look...
I know you don't want that.
I know we don't agree on Pickett, but we can agree with you Ron, I think Travis and I both can agree that he was set up to fail. Anybody there was. Canada's offense was vanilla for half the season. So, like, nobody was going to do well. Tomlinson definitely is set Pickett up for failure. I just don't know that Pickett would climb the ranks like you think. But regardless, what I would say here is my final thought, and I don't know this is me speculating. I have no clue, just to be frank with everybody. I don't know if Sullivan is the answer. I'm just saying it seems awfully, if you follow the timeline of it all and you just kind of look at what's going on, once you got rid of Canada and all of a sudden you bring in Sullivan and you bring in a new OC, Arthur Smith, instead of continuing on what you had done at the end of the year, which was getting to the playoffs and actually having a somewhat successful passing game, right? Would you agree that you guys were doing better things at the end of the year, right? So my thinking is that why were you doing better things? Maybe it was Sullivan. And the fact that Sullivan got elevated makes me think that they're keeping that whatever's working going in terms of the passing game. And I think maybe Tomlin, this is just me speculating, but I think it's very logical that Tomlin said, now we just got to get our run in order. I like what Sullivan's doing. He's not equipped enough to be an OC yet, but I think Sullivan's got a handle on what we need to do in the direction of the passing game. Let's promote him from QB coordinator. What he did was good at the end of the year. Took over, felt like he did a good job. And let's bring in somebody that's a run specialist, which you can, like me, question it, but and then now we have the complete package of the offense. I just wonder if that's what's going on. And if it is, maybe there's more silver lining here in terms of Fields than you know what I'm saying? I don't know.
Smitty, I no disrespect at all, but I think you're grasping at straws.
I might be.
Because you love Fields, and Fields has a great amount of talent, and you want to see him get fixed. And, I mean, I don't blame you, but I think you're grasping at straws because you want Fields to have success.
No, I think it's a logical take.
He goes from a bad system into another bad system offensively, and that's not good for Fields. That's not good.
I think it's a lot. Like I'm not that invested, Ron. I'm not that invested. I think I'm just logically trying to make a guess.
No,
but I'm being very open that I'm guessing. You know what I mean? Like I'm being very open.
Understandable. I mean, I'm grasping at straws with Pickett too. So because I want to see him have success. You want to see Fields have success because you see the talent there, and you want to see his talent come out, and you want to see him succeed. But I don't blame you.
I think I'm being objectively logical with it though. I'm not heavily invested in it though. But hold on, let me go over.
He goes from one bad situation to the next.
Go ahead, Travis.
To another bad situation.
Just real quick, I think it is kind of reading the tea leaves, though, because, you move on from Pickett. You bring in two guys who can throw a deep ball in Wilson and Fields. You get rid of Stonehands, Deontay Johnson.
Yes.
And maybe they won't do it, but they have pick 18. And a guy like Brian Thomas or Adonai Mitchell or McConkey is going to – I think they're going to get another wide receiver right there.
I agree.
That can go deep. And they're going to run the ball a lot, and they're going to push it down the field when they pass.
And I think that there's something in play that we don't know, which the only thing I can come up with is me investigating it. Like I said, to the best degree I can live. All that was live. I didn't plan any of that. My thinking is maybe Sullivan is probably a bigger part of it. Like Zach, we're seeing these QB coordinators be in a way like assistant offensive coordinators. They're like almost mini offensive coordinators. It seems like teams are putting more onus on certain departments of the offense to different coaching staff members and splitting up, and so that one person isn't focused on everything. They're specialized, and that even a head coach being a defensive coordinator minded guy like DeMeco Ryans, look how good that's working out if he delegates properly. In LA for the Rams, Zach Robinson was not the OC. He was the QB coordinator, and he was the magician behind the curtain. So I'm just saying maybe, and I don't know. I'm not trying to connect dots that aren't there. I don't really care, to be honest, Ron. I'm barely invested. Fields is not a big important piece to me. I don't have anything hanging on Fields. I have no predictions that really matter to me. I have no players that are connected to this. I just think I'm hoping there might be something more here that we aren't putting together now, similar to when I thought the Rams were not going to be as good as they were last year. I was very pessimistic about the Rams and the Bucks because I didn't feel like they had the right pieces in place. The Rams did. The Rams came out and they were freaking amazing, and it was because of things that were hiding in the weeds, like Zach Robinson, QB coordinator. But we'll see. We'll see. All I know is that, Ron, you're in 100,000 times better position with Russell Wilson and Fields than you were with just Pickett, in my opinion.
I don't know. I mean, I got a guy that sees butterflies, that gives high fives to people that aren't even there. He's suspect at the best. He's suspect at best. And then you got somebody that's broken like Fields coming in there with terrible coaching. So I don't know where the upside is there. I do know the upside is if Tomlin's gone, we can start fresh finally, and that's what I want. I want Tomlin gone because, and Mr. TD was in there in the chat saying he's got 180 wins and all this. Hey, Mr. TD, look at the years Cowher coached and compare him to Tomlin. Cowher had a better winning percentage, more divisional titles, more playoff wins than Tomlin ever had, and Tomlin's only Super Bowl he ever won was with Tomlin's team and Tomlin's coaches. I mean, with Cowher's team and Cowher's coaching. So don't go there. Quick, get off of Tomlin's, dust.
Right. We got you.
And quick, Tomlin isn't the guy. He's a loser.
Ron hates Tomlin.
I think he's right that Mike Sullivan was the OC of the Giants at one point, I think during one of their Super Bowls.
So here, quarterbacks coach in 2015, December 31st, 2014, Sullivan was rehired as the Giants quarterback coach, reuniting his former team and quarterback Eli Manning. Sullivan replaced blah, blah, blah. I just wonder. I don't know. I should know more about Sullivan, and I don't, and that's why I'm looking into it, because I don't want to leave a stone unturned here, and especially after this is adjust and adapt learning on the fly here for everybody in the analyst business, in the fantasy football space. No one's perfect, and I didn't have enough on Zach Robinson, and in that situation in LAR in Los Angeles Rams territory. So that's making me investigate a little bit more and turning over a few stones I may not have turned over. And I just have a weird feeling that and I know Ron hates Tomlin. I know but I have a feeling Tomlin's got some plan in place that makes this make sense a little more. That's all I'm saying. Because if it was up to Arthur Smith, if it's up to Arthur Smith, we're in trouble.
He's won 2 Super Bowls. He went 0-7 with Cowher's team and Cowher's coaches, Dick LeBeau on the defense, Bruce Arians on the offensive coordinator, and then he went again in 2011. Still had Bruce Arians as his offensive coordinator, and he lost to Green Bay. They lost to Green Bay. So Tomlin can't even develop coaches. He can't hire coaches because he got rid of all those coaches. And he hasn't had a good coach since that he's brought in and done anything for the offense.
I hope you and Tomlin fix it.
Look at Todd Haley. He brought in Todd Haley, of all people, who didn't have success as a head coach in Kansas City. Who's that remind you of? Oh, that reminds you of Arthur Smith, doesn't he? He did the same thing. So Todd Haley has disastrous time as a head coach in Kansas City. He hires him as his offensive coordinator. Him and Ben don't get along. They didn't do good. Todd Haley gets fired. Oh, now he hires Arthur Smith, who pretty much sucked in Atlanta. Same type of situation. Cowher cannot hire coaches.
All right.
Cannot develop anything.
All right, boys.
Tom sucks.
I'm gonna call it here. We've got 200 people in here, including Twitter. We got, let's see, 143.
I'm
We got.
sorry, I'm pessimistic.
No, it's fine. It's fine, Ron. But just maybe consider what I'm saying and look into it a little bit for me. Just let's see how good
I
Sullivan.
agree, but
It does seem like Sullivan brings something to the table, and I truly believe if you dug into it a little bit, we maybe find out that he was a big reason why things started to get better in terms of the offense and the passing attack, and I just wonder if he's getting the keys to the castle, but not the full castle yet, but he's getting groomed. I don't know. We'll see. All right. Hey, appreciate you, Ron. Prayers up for Ron Navy. Hope all is well. And call into the main show tomorrow. We'll be live on something, I'm sure.
Can I ask you a quick Dynasty question? It's actually why I called in.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just quick. So I have Fields, AR5, and Dak, and we talked before about how I should be, wait to see what happens with Fields and then trade one of the two. Obviously, that changes now. Would you still feel good about that QB room, or would you be, just because AR was hurt last year, so I worry about injury? Would you be looking to do something with that, or just have to wait with Fields and hope the rest work out?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of have to. I don't think. I almost feel bad telling you to wait, but I don't know that you would have gotten anything for him anyway.
No, I didn't want to rush it.
Yeah,
I
so
was hopeful Fields would go start somewhere. So.
Yeah, I think I would just hold. I would stand down now if it's Fields, AR5, and Dak, and it's Superflex. Superflex or 1 QB?
1 QB.
Okay, I would probably hold strong, just because. I mean, if you get an offer you can't refuse for Dak, I don't think I'd trade AR5. But if you get an offer you can't refuse for Dak, I would maybe take the gamble of Fields, but it depends if you could get another.
I have Aaron Rodgers as well.
Oh yeah, A-Rod. Okay, so you're pretty good. I would still listen. I would still listen to Dak offers. To be honest, I have some question marks about Dak, man. I kind of wonder, like, if 4 years from now, if he's like, I don't know. I just have a weird feeling. I just have a weird feeling that 5 years from now, we're going to think differently of Dak. 4 years from now, maybe 3 years from now, we're going to think very differently about Dak. I don't know. I feel like he's not a guy that.
You mean?
What?
In like a negative way?
Yeah, I just don't know how we're going to feel about him 3 years from now. I think he might feel like a different QB to us. Because think about it. Every year we're questioning him. Like at some point, is he gonna just not have confidence? At some point, is he gonna get hurt again? At some point, are we keep hearing this team talk about, is he the problem or is he not? And it's like, this is multiple years we've been hearing that, and at some point, I don't know what's gonna happen to him. I just don't have a good feeling of longevity, so I would definitely be tempted to move him. But I mean, in a 1 QB league, it's really hard to trade quarterbacks. So, like, what are you going to get? Like, what team needs a QB?
Would you take a second-round pick for him, or is it not?
No.
Or is that not worth it either?
Nah. I would take a player that's on the clock. I'd take a player that's on the clock in round 2 if it's the right player. You know, like if you're feeling the vibe on let's say Thomas Jr. falls, and you're like, man, I love this guy, and you can trade. Then you do it. But like, I wouldn't do it preemptively.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I really like my team except for my running backs. I have Bijan, Achan, and Javonte. That's all I got. So,
Bijan. So you want another RB? What about Zeus? Does the guy that has Zamir White need a QB? I'm just curious. I'm not saying I'd necessarily do that straight up. I don't know what I'd do on that. Actually, I like Zeus a lot, but he's definitely not like a lock. But and they could draft somebody, but I like him. I would probably
they have Hurts and Love, so they're also.
I would trade.
Like you said, it's tough
on the clock. On
the
the clock, I would trade Dak Prescott for the number 1 rookie running back if you could position that right. You're going down the draft. Nobody's taken one yet. It's 1.7, 1.8. You're like, oh my God, nobody's taken Jalen Wright yet. No one's taken Braylon Allen, and I like them. Depends where they land. If one of them lands in Dallas, one of them surely is going to get drafted by Dallas.
Right.
Then, he might go 1.5, 1.6, but I would certainly trade Dak and something small Maybe I'd trade Dak in a future second rounder for that running back. I like that. I think Ramondre Stevenson's entertaining.
Yeah.
For Dak, if you believe he could bounce back, but he could also be a waste of value.
But Dak has legal issues going on right now.
Yeah,
they're investigating him for sexual assault back in 2017.
Yeah, that's another thing that that weighs on that's what I'm saying. I got a vibe that Dak 3 years from now is a different Dak. I think anybody could clip this and give it back to me in 3 years from now. I think we're gonna be right on it. I just have a feeling, and I don't know if that means he's out of the league, but I think he's a different Dak. But I don't think it's good.
The chances he repeats like that I don't know what it was, 10 game streak he went on last year is that's gonna be tough for him to live up to and repeat. I mean, he was lights out for like 8 or 9 straight weeks last year.
By Easy says, when do your rankings come out, Smitty? He's talking about my thefantasyfootballshow.com. It's year round, bro. It's 365. There's no shutdown. It's just 365. But I will say that I haven't adjusted a couple things. Like I think Zach Moss is still too low. The Russell Wilson field situation needs to be re-ranked. I might do that tonight or tomorrow. But I mean, it's all, constantly updated. So get on over there and re-up right now, my guy. All right, boys, I'm going to let you go. I'm exhausted.
Yep, thanks, Smitty. I'll talk to you later.
All right, later, Ron. Call in tomorrow, Ron. Call in tomorrow, bro. You're in a better position.
Still got company here, but
okay.
Anyways.
All right.
They all went to bed, but I'll try.
Head up. You got. I'm not that pessimistic about your team, so I don't know. All right.
I know. Scares me.
All right. Later, Ron.
Later.
Before we know it, I'll be betting Ron. The Steelers have a certain record, and he's going to be betting against it, and we're going to have a big, huge bet on the Steelers, and he's on the wrong side of it before we know it. I appreciate you all. Justin Fields. Yeah, I'll look at Zamir White. He got bumped down. I think somebody told me something happened. He might be missing a certain number that gives him a boost. It might have given him a bump down. It might be a negative, like a negative number got inserted instead of a positive in terms of the way that my algorithm for it works. I'll get on that. Actually, I'll do it right now. I'll comb through my rankings right now for you guys on thefantasyfootballshow.com. YouTube.com/thefantasyfootballshow is my YouTube channel. thefantasyfootballshow.com is my rankings, year-round ranking site, bold predictions, articles, trade calculator, video courses. Your boy essentially invented the trade calculator in 2003, and I've been in the business ever since. It's why I entered the industry, is to create tools that nobody had. The draft simulator, the trade calculator. Nobody had an instant-based trade calculator, at least that I could find anyway. And there was no big site that had it at all. Somebody might have been kicking around with one on a forum somewhere back in the day when that's when forums were huge, and there weren't a lot of fantasy websites out there. I was one of like 10 or 12. And so I started in 2003, created what I believe to be the first ever instant-based trade calculator that was customer-facing, where you don't have to enter a lineup or download a product. There were others that had like a trade assessment tool that you download a file and you enter your team. And mine was instant. You just click a name, hit the button, and it would say, back then when I developed it, it would say, hell no, don't do the trade. It'd be like, oh, hell yeah, do the trade. And they'd be like, yeah, do the trade. And then like, it's pretty even. And have these different different phrases that it would have. But I've tooled it. It's now Dynasty and Redraft. You can add players to it. You can click on their names and remove them. And you can make it like a 7-for-1 trade if you want. You just got to know that you're going to essentially at some point trick the system and the calculator, even though the calculator is very hard to trick because it's based on auction dollars. So you essentially think about it. You bring $100 to an auction and you spend it on players, and you bring $100 to an auction and you spend it on one player. That still equates. You could almost say, is this one player worth these $100 worth of 3 players? it kind of almost in a way is hard to trick the calculator to a degree because of the way that I've created it. So go check it out. Appreciate you all. Thank you for watching the Dynasty channel. I've got my Twitter people. All my Twitter people out there, make sure you subscribe to youtube.com/dynastyfantasyfootball and youtube.com/thefantasyfootballshow, or you're going to miss out eventually. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to be... I'll be streaming to Twitter here and there for the remainder of the free agency period, at least the hot free agency period. But at some point, it's going to probably stop because I like to keep it exclusive to YouTube and sometimes IG. But I'm not super active on Twitter. It's not a place I congregate much. I'm not a big fan of the Twitter space, not because of the changes made, but because it's just a dead environment now. It's a bunch of analysts, trying to become an analyst, I'm an analyst, I'm an expert in my bio, and then everybody just, it's all just a bunch of people trying to refollow each other. There's no like followers anymore on Twitter that find you organically, because it's just saturated with a bunch of people trying to be Twitter, first time Twitter analysts. And it's just, I just don't congregate over on Twitter. I just don't enjoy it. I do follow Twitter all day long for news reports and such, but I don't post on it. I'm live right now on Twitter, and we're live on Twitter, and we got a lot of people watching, to be frank, but no one's participating. I've got no comments from the Twitter sphere. Nobody. Let me open up Twitter live right now. We got 150 Twitter followers watching, and no one's asking a question. Not one. I'm looking at it right now. Not one question's come in. Whereas YouTube, it's literally, we've had 1,500 questions from YouTube scroll through. So that's why I try and keep it kind of exclusive to YouTube, but I'm trying to get my Twitter people over. So it's been good. I think we've been pushing people out. I hear you. I need to move over to YouTube. You need to get over here, Easy. It's a much better experience on YouTube. Right now on Instagram, you're watching. This is how you should be watching me on YouTube. Okay? This is the YouTube experience right now. Whereas the Twitter experience, the Instagram experience, you get just my head right here. It's totally cropped. It's much more interactive. Obviously you flip it like that. But that is the YouTube experience, my guy. I'll see you all later. See you tomorrow.
Leave it on the fields.
Just in time.
Fields of dreams.
Fields like making love.
Outstanding in his fields.
Fields so good.
Fields general. My fields good, uneven playing fields.
Battlefields tested.
Fields. He's for reals.
Appreciate every single one of you. Again, my Twitter people, I'm typing you right now. Join on YouTube next time. And here's the link on Twitter. So subscribe to the channel. I just dropped it on Twitter. On Twitter. And if you're on Instagram, go to my bio and click the YouTube channel there. See you all later. Appreciate all my super chatters. Thank you to Perps with the double 20s. Al with the doubles. Al, appreciate you. I'm sorry it took me so long to answer your question, Al. Perps to the moon. Al to the moon. Travis to the moon. Ron Navy to the moon. Can you guys drop 30 seconds straight of prayer emojis for the Ron Navy family who's going through it right now? I want 30 seconds straight of prayer emojis for Ron Navy. Please do not stop until the live stream ends, actually. So, thanks to Bolt for being here as a moderator-in-chief. Travis as a moderator-in-chief. DeBalt's the man with the master plan. Nothing but prayer emojis for Ron Navy and the fam, please. We got 2 membership milestones. Perp celebrating his 1 month. I don't know what's wrong with his account. It keeps saying 1 month, and so he's joking here. He goes, "Oh my God, I'm so excited to spend a month with you guys." As if he hasn't As if he hasn't been here. Sick Nasty dropping his. Says 3 1 month membership. Is 3 high first round picks too much for love? Sick Nasty, you still here? Thanks, Sick Nasty, and everybody for being here. And my mods. So Sick Nasty, DeBolt, Travis Rowe. Sick Nasty, you still here? So 3 first round picks too much for Jordan Love. Yeah, probably, bro. And a 1 QB and a super flex. Can you respond right now and tell me if that's super flex? I know. Probably thought my membership message was a joke. No, I didn't think it was a joke. I didn't see it until right now. That's my fault. Sick Nasty. Can you clarify though? If that is a super flex? Maybe I missed it and you already read it. We got prayer emojis like crazy rolling in for Ron Navy. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. Ron Navy, thanks for the $20 hauler. Ron, you're the man. Ron.
Alert. Super chat alert.
Ron, appreciate you. Sick Nasty, before we leave, Sick Nasty, everybody keep dropping those prayer emojis for Ron. That's amazing. Thank you, guys. 1 QB, says Sick Nasty. 3 first rounders for Jordan Love. That's too much. It's too much. In a super flex, I'd probably say it's like still a lot. It probably almost too much, but like understandable. In a 1 QB, no thank you. 3 first rounders should get you Mahomes or Josh Allen or Jalen Hurts, I think. And even then, that feels like an overpay. But I no way in a 1 QB I'm giving up 3 first rounders for Jordan Love. I like Jordan Love, but he's still not absolutely locked, bro. Like, we like him. The prospect's great. Not locked by any means. Way too much for me. Appreciate you. Sorry about the delay on that. Again, Ron Navy, thank you for dropping that. Thanks, Smitty. Thanks, chat. Yeah, Ron, let's do this real quick. Ron, let's put Ron as the first. I know you gave 20 there, but you've given other ones, and I'll collect them together. And you deserve this because I want you to be the first one anyway. So you don't have to drop any additional to make this. But let's make you the first $50 super chatter. Can you think? Let's think about the prediction. You don't have to rush it now. Ron will be the first prediction on the $50 board, unless somebody tomorrow calls in and drops a $50 prediction, and I have to put them up. But Ron will be the first $50 prediction. And anybody that wins that's going to co-host at least one segment of the show and get a prize. I'll have the prize probably decided later. But Ron, you could drop the first $50 prediction. Anybody who wants to partake in this contest, you just drop a $50 super chat. And that comes with the prediction. We put it on the board. We write it on the board in front of everybody. And then you try and win the contest. So, Ron, give me your prediction and we'll put it up there. Perps will probably be second. Perps has dropped plenty to earn a free prediction. You and Perps get the first 2. So think about it. Come back tomorrow, and if you can drop it tomorrow, unless you got it now, and we'll put it up on the board. Same with you, Perps, if you're watching. See you all tomorrow. I still got 156 people of you watching on Twitter and not one comment. Like, I don't get it. I don't get how there's no interaction. Twitter is just weird to me. That's not coming from like an old dog, space, headspace. I'm just saying, like, it's not an engaging product anymore. Atlanta wins the NFC Championship. Oh, Ron's got it already. Hold on. Let me switch mics real quick. Ron's got prediction number 1. And I like that your Atlanta wins NFC Championship today is the 16th. Okay. So I like that, Ron, you're not getting too crazy because last year we had a problem having a winner because everybody went too bold. So Ron's saying, we'll put Ron right here. Ron, Navy, ATL. You said championship, not okay. Championship, not Super Bowl. NFC champs. And this is 3. What is today's date? I just said it. 3/16. Ron Navy, Atlanta Super Bowl champs. I'm sorry, NFC champs. I'm screwing up Ron's thing. And I wrote NFC. I just said Super Bowl. NFC champs, Ron Navy. Dropping the first $50 hauler prediction on the board. I like it. It's attainable. It's still bold. Very bold, actually. That's actually really bold. But it's attainable. It's definitely attainable. Last year we had just too many people were going wild, just hog wild, on all our predictions, and we couldn't even find an accurate one. They were crazy, and the winner was Bijan Robinson would be a backup in 2023, and even though he wasn't technically, it was such an accurate depiction of his year that he won. Everybody vote, and that's the people vote. It doesn't have to be 100% right. Too, somebody could say the Falcons, like Ron could say the Falcons win the NFC Championship and Bijan's the number 1 running back. Bijan could end up being running back 3. The Falcons win the NFC Championship, and the chat could still vote him the winner. So it really comes down to the chat vote. It's our 31st anniversary, so I won't forget it, says Ron. Oh, today's your 31st anniversary? Love to see the Falcons knock off the San Francisco 49ers, says Travis. It's Ron's 31st anniversary. That's awesome. We'll send you guys to Saturn.
To Saturn.
Congrats, Ron. All right, it's been a long night. I'm out of here. Ron, thank you for dropping the $50 prediction. It is on the board right there. You can see it. You can't read it from here, but Ron's prediction is the first one on the board. I have Eagles as the NFC champs. So Ron and I are going head-to-head on these right here. But I do love the Falcons pick. That's a really good one. I just feel like the Eagles are building something special. Congrats, Ron. Happy anniversary. And we'll see you all later. Let me see when I can hit something for Ron to celebrate this. Well, first of all, 31 years. You're hearing a lot of this. Hey, Ron, go get me a coffee. Because you aren't the boss of that. After 31 years, you're getting all the coffee. You ain't in control of nothing no more. Let me see if I could find another one. You could say, I just think we'll send you to Saturn, we'll send you to the moon, or Smitty.
You've just been Smitty approved.
Now go get our coffee. All right. I'll see you all later. I got one more. This is another one that Ron hears a lot.
Wrong. Muy mal.
Give me a coffee, and you're also
wrong.
There ain't no way you're hearing anything else than those two things on a regular basis. You're now wrong for the rest of your life. Yeah, the NFC is loaded. All right, I'm out of here officially. Appreciate you all. Thank you for the super chats. Perps, the double shot. Ron, appreciate you. Al, the double shot. Thank you for everything. Appreciate you all. See you all later. Thanks to my mods.